So let's bring in our panel to break it all down. Ford O'Connell is the chairman of Civic Forum PAC. Craig Verhulga is the president and founder of Patriot Majority. Gentlemen, I saw your reaction during that interview. So Ford, I want to start with you. We heard the mayor bring up a couple points, and specifically I want to start our conversation with sanctuary cities before we get into some other topics. He had said, and my quotes aren't exactly, but that the sanctuary cities, if that status was taken away from some of these cities, it would push people back into the shadows. It wouldn't necessarily in any way improve relations with law enforcement and people in the city. Agree or disagree?
Disagree. Let me translate what Mitch Landrieu, the mayor of New Orleans, is saying. I'm not going to comply with federal immigration law for political reasons and because of the ballot box and because of a minority city where if I start deporting people, people are not going to turn out to vote for me. We all know the reason why they're in the shadows, and that is because sanctuary cities provide a magnet and incentive for illegal immigration. So until you cut off the incentive, this is going to continue to happen. And all he's doing is just dodging the question by saying there's all these other things we can do. But the core fact is it is a magnet for illegal immigration because of the welfare state in many of these major cities. You got to understand, we got 300 of these across the nation, and the bottom line is the mayors don't care about enforcing the law. They care about their political survival.
But Craig, first of all, I want you to respond. And he also said, listen, it's our job is to enforce the law. Our job is not to do the Fed's job.
Right. I mean, that's correct. And I have to disagree with a lot of what, Ford just said. I mean, Mitch Landrieu made a very good point. One, sanctuary cities is not a legal identification, and it really doesn't mean much of anything. The second thing is that anybody who's worked closely with mayors and worked closely with police departments know that police departments are the front line in terms of keeping the city safe. Yeah, and if you turn them into a deportation force, the way that Mayor Landrieu was warning against doing, they're not going to be able to do their jobs. Whether it's enforcing the traffic laws or investigating burglaries or investigating murders. So I mean, it's like regardless of what you think about President Trump's orders or his executive decisions that he's making this time, I mean that is not a good use of local police forces, and it's going to create a tremendous hardship on cities. And I think that
get rid of the incentive.
Let me finish, and we can go back and forth. The issue is that if you turn the city, if you take the cities and make them principally responsible for enforcing an executive order, when a term sanctuary cities, which may mean something politically to some people, but legally it's meaningless. When you then say that you're going to penalize cities in terms of, whether it's grants, for traffic control or whether it's grants for police departments, that will create havoc everywhere.
Well, was it penalizing these cities, or was it just because they wouldn't be enforcing the law that's already there?
They're not enforcing the law that's already there. They choose to ignore said law. And we know this because we look at just how many folks have been deported. They're priority one offenders, which is basically 3 misdemeanors, or you basically killed someone. So until it becomes a major issue, they don't seem to care. And we know why this continues. Because as long as you allow people to be housed there, you're creating the incentive for more illegal immigration. This is a chicken and egg problem.
Okay, but he did say, listen, it's not I don't want to be deporting 11 million people. We're
not even deporting the 2 or 3 million criminal illegals.
Let me say something. One thing your viewers may know, and you may not know it either, is both Ford and I are from Houston. We spent a lot of time there. It's a great city. It is a dynamic city. It has an economic vitality that a lot of other cities do not have. The people in the city of Houston, who have been in control of law enforcement, do not believe generally that they should be enforcing, provisions of the federal law that are better handled, by the federal government. Nobody is saying that, police departments at the local level or mayors are encouraging murder. And
yes, they absolutely are. A great example is San Francisco and Kate Steinle. I see them out in front of the courthouse. Houston may be a different story, but understand this is going on across the country in metropolitan areas. But when I see this in San Francisco, you're not telling me that they are refusing outwardly to say that they're enforcing the law. And guess what? It doesn't really matter.
You can argue about whether or not certain things are the responsibility of the federal government or local law enforcement. However, it's not useful, in terms of having this discussion, not here today, but nationally, to talk about, mayors condoning murder. That is
Mayors
not
are
what
condoning
anybody
murder
is
for
doing.
political reasons because of the demographics at the ballot
That's
box.
like-
We
that-
all know
that's
why
just-
this is
I mean,
occurring. That is exactly why it's occurring. Explain to me.
I love you, but that's a reckless thing
That
to
is
say.
not a reckless thing to say at all. And I do agree with you that you do need some of these people to help the police, and it should not be the police's job. But the police are taking their orders from City Hall in many of these cities, and that's why it's occurring.
If you talk to law enforcement and police officers, they believe that their job is to keep people safe, and they believe in many cases that federal interference with their jobs would make the city, less safe.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. We'll see in the next couple weeks how different cities handle it, different mayors handle it, and I'm sure we'll continue the discussion. Ford,
Okay.
Craig?
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank